What's up, everyone? Sean here, and I'm back for another movie review. This time it's gonna be solo, so just me. We did go see It Chapter 2 not too long ago. It was on a weekend, opening weekend, in fact. And I was trying to see if we can get something together with Danny, but he's gonna, sit out for this one. Doesn't have a whole lot to say, so understandably so, and that's why we are here with just me. Uh, there is something I want to share before I get into the review. I got a puppy. My family got a puppy not too long ago. She is a very mixed breed of sorts. Mostly a Pomeranian, but she may have some Chihuahua in her, like maybe a quarter at best or most. But she got something else in there too. But anyway, so you'll probably hear her in the back occasionally. I have to listen to it in the post, but anywho, that's the noise you'll probably hear in the background. So anyway, so let's get into it. Chapter 2. First off, I kind of had high expectations. I was like anticipating it, like a lot of people were. I think the teaser trailer did a really good job, like getting me excited personally. Especially with the whole scene with the grandma, and then the trailer ends it with, or the teaser trailer, I should say rather. Ends it with, Pennywise with the red light, and then opening it up, from his hand, and he says, "Hello," very like unsettling greeting to the little girl. Which, yes, that's all part of the movie, of course. Not no like deleted scene or something taken out of the theater edition or theater version of for it. That was definitely in the film somewhere. But I gotta say, overall, just to kind of in short word, I thought it was pretty good, and it was a fun experience. But I have to say that the first film, just it, was the one to take the ticket, and I had a much of a better experience overall. Like, it had a good combination of just good imagery, good amount of scariness, fun. It had a nice balance of horror and everything, and it was such a nice personal like revival, almost like a semi revival for me, for when it comes to myself watching horror films. I've watched horror films in the past when I was younger, but it kind of just died off. I thought it just kind of worn off. Like the whole magic, especially with the newer ones that started to come out over the years, especially with the whole gore genre and everything, like Saw and whatever else that came around that time too. Just, and all the zombie films that were just really milking that genre as well. So that kind of turned me off, and I didn't really want to just watch it. And a lot of it was, just torture and zombies and gore, and not really much on the atmosphere. And it really I thought was a good balance of that, and it really, had a nice horror sort of flavor to it, and that's why I really liked it. It Chapter 2, like I said, it is fun, but it is a lot more tropey, a lot more cliche in comparison. Not to say that Chapter 1, I guess you can say, is not cliche at all or by any means, but I felt like the tropes and the cliches were a lot more emphasized here. There are a lot more jump scares this time around. It was pretty like predictable. None of them overall get me too much, except for the one by the end with the Pomeranian, which is really funny because like I mentioned earlier, I just got a puppy who also is a Pomeranian pretty much, and that part got me. I'll explain more in the spoiler section, but for now, that part was what kind of got me, but it didn't really like, whoa, like, got my heart racing or anything like that. My friend Adam got scared a couple of times. Probably like definitely once, right? At least once, but maybe 2 times, maybe at most 3. throughout the whole entire film. The people around this were also like scared, but I don't know. I don't know if it was like genuine or not. Someone was actually really scared, but overall, like to me anyway, chapter two was fun. It was more fun than anything. But unfortunately, that does take away a lot of what it chapter one had to set up for. It kind of it definitely kind of watered it down, unfortunately. But it's still like there's a lot of fun imagery. There's a lot of cool looking like neat creature designs, and that's the neighbor's dog, not mine. Anyway, I don't know if you can hear that, but anyway, it's definitely not the same, I would say, and I still like the first one a lot better. But again, that's really not to say that this one is bad, but unfortunately, it may leave people disappointed. There are only two major things about the film that I have to address, but they're more towards the spoiler territory. So I guess this is a little more spoiler esque, but I will say this: there is not enough of Pennywise himself. Unfortunately, even though this is supposed to be the final, part of this two-part series, and it's knowing that is, it is disappointing. You still get somewhat good amount of Pennywise, but I wish for more. And they didn't offer enough like backstory. They didn't offer enough like history with, Pennywise and anything related to him really. I don't know. Maybe it was all just an illusion. I don't know. Playing with the whole fear thing, that could have all been just a dream, like esque sort of sequence for our heroes. And speaking of the heroes, I thought the casting was pretty good overall. Maybe the weirdest one, I guess, was Bill Hader, but Bill Hader was great. I thought he did really good as I think it was Richie, his name was. But meanwhile, let me actually bring up the article to make sure I know all the names and stuff, because it's definitely hard for me to memorize names. But anyway, the cast was great. I thought it's like almost really weird to see this new cast of the adult version of the kids being pretty on par in terms of appearance, like to see what they look like when they're actually older and stuff. I know like one of the child actors is from like Stranger Things, which is kind of cool, right? And yeah, it is Richie. So Bill Hader did a really good job as Richie, being the adult Richie. He kind of like plays as the comedian, and in the beginning of the film, he is the comedian, right? Which is really funny. It's kind of like a comedian. It's like a show within a show sort of trope or thing. If you know what I'm talking about. He just kind of plays as himself in a way, but not really. Just overall, I think Bill Hader did a really good job as Richie. But yeah, the rest of the cast was it's uncanny as to how they handpicked these actors who would look like the kids in as grown-ups, and they all did a pretty good job as well. Which I gotta give a lot of praise to, especially James McAvoy. I'm not like slaughtering his name, but he plays as Bill. I thought he was fantastic. He really nails down the whole like stuttering condition that Bill had in the past. And he definitely looked the part as the adult, and he's funny because not him funny, but it's funny because he's pitted as a writer, and of course, it is written with what's his face, Stephen King, and Stephen King actually does make an appearance somewhere in the film. I'll just say that much. And it's kind of weird to kind of see him once again. It's been a long time since I've last seen Stephen King in a movie. For me anyway. But yeah, McAvoy, I think he did a really good job as Bill. The other favorite I would have to say is Eddie. Like him, child or adult, he is still funny. He is still like the guy who brings up the statistics. He still is more or less himself. Obviously, he's like a rich guy or whatever. He's like an analyst for an insurance company because of his personality, which is really funny. And Ramsoni or James Rassoni, again, I hope I get his name right. He did a great job being Eddie, as adult Eddie, and yeah, he's just another favorite of mine besides Richie, played by Bill Hader. Jessica Chastain as Beverly, the girl of the group, definitely did a really good job, and she also really played, just appearance wise, played as the adult version of Beverly. It's just, again, it's so uncanny as to like how they've really assembled these actors and actresses in one film, and they really overall nailed down their counterparts and stuff. From playing the part as the adult versions of the kids from the first chapter. It still gets me thinking, right, as to how they've all planned this out and stuff. But anyway, overall, like, they did a really good job with it. I think they really did a great job casting them. It's a good round of familiar faces, but also just good fits to play as the adult versions of those kids. So overall, like, the casting part, great. And the only surprise, I guess, is Ben. He was the fat kid from the first chapter, but in this film, he's super chiseled. He is handsome as fuck. He, like, just like I pretty much like most of the main cast anyway. He's successful. He's doing his thing, and he seems to be doing pretty good, right? So that is just I don't know. It's just all funny, but of course, Bill Scar. Dude, this is gonna be hard for me, but Bill. Forgive me for slaughtering his name again, but it's Bill Skarsgård, I think his name is. He once again plays a wonderful Pennywise, just like the first film. But like I said, you don't really get enough of him, and I felt like they should have used more of Skarsgård's talent as Pennywise, especially him actually being able to do the eyeball trick. Him just going cross-eyed as such in the film. He can just do it on his own, like no CG or anything like that, which is actually really funny. And yeah, so that's pretty much the highlights of it. Somewhat. I thought the music was all right. It definitely felt like more on the cliche side. So it added to that even more to that cliche nature that Chapter 2 had to offer, and it's just a little that much more unfortunate as to how this film sort of turned out. As people were really anticipating, like myself, for Chapter 2. But yeah, before I start to go into spoilers by accident, I'm just gonna just wrap this up real quick for the non-spoiler portion. Overall, it's still a fun watch, even though I give it some negative thoughts on it. But I almost forgot to mention one last thing. The other complaint I wanted to talk about was the ending. Oh my gosh, it was so stupid. Like it I don't know, man. It started to really it kind of started to fall apart right around that time, and I'm just like, what is happening? This is not it can't be how Pennywise meets his end, right? But it's just, oh man, I don't know. I gotta really talk about it in the spoilers. So yeah. Um, Overall though, it's still, despite me complaining about it, overall it's still a fun watch. It's just a pretty well put together film for the most part. There are maybe there's some like weird edits here and there, personally for me anyway. But whether you guys feel about the cast, you feel do you guys care about the adult versions of these characters, and that's really up to you guys. But otherwise, I thought the main cast did a really good job with their characters. Pennywise is Pennywise, and it's just a really good all around visually horror film. So if I had to give it a score, I would give it a 7 out of 10. I thought about giving it a 7.5, but this is the final chapter with Pennywise here, and the ending could have been better. Like, it's just so ironic, you know. But you'll understand once I really start talking about the spoiler section. So, anyways, before I go into spoilers, I want to thank you guys for listening to the non-spoiler portion of things, and thank you guys so much. If you guys haven't seen a film already, or seen the film already, I would highly recommend it to see it. It's still worth the watch. It's just for the visual side of things, the actors, or the stars anyway. Just Pennywise himself, of course, and it's still a good watch. I would say so. Anyways, I'm gonna go into the spoiler section. So see you guys there.